Heartwarming moment, Waitress discovers incredible talent, stunning billionaire with one note. The Blue Sky Diner buzzed with life on that ordinary Tuesday evening. Plates clanked, voices mingled, laughter and stories spilling over the red vinyl booths. It was home to the heart of a bustling Midwestern town. Among the chaos was Emily, a 28-year-old waitress glowing with a tempered brightness, but her faded uniform and weary eyes told a different story. Each late-night shift was a tiresome juggle, flipping pancakes, refilling coffee cups, while the weight of bills loomed over her like dark clouds. At home, her sick mother waited for her, a reminder of every responsibility tethering Emily to the ground, silencing the dream of her heart singing, but tonight, a shift was brewing. The door swung open with a whoosh, and in stepped Michael, a billionaire wrapped in mystery, known as much for his cutthroat deals as his uncanny knack for making headlines. He slid into a corner booth, shedding the armor of his sharp suit to embrace a night of Americana. An old country tune crackled to life in the jukebox. Caught up in the melody, Emily found herself humming softly, her heart racing, the music opening a door she'd long locked away. Then, something magical happened. As she struck a note, the world around her hushed into an awed silence. The diner filled with regulars recounting their day held its breath. That one note rang clear and beautiful, cascading through the air like a ray of sunshine warming the gray. Michael looked up, captivated. He'd encountered countless people in his life, yet this was different. This was raw. He saw something electric in her. That night, amidst the humble surroundings, an unlikely friendship began to blossom. They traded stories so different yet intertwined, a tapestry woven from struggles of wealth and survival. But whispers danced through the diner's corners. What does a billionaire want with a diner girl? Emily felt their eyes, judgment simmering beneath their friendly facades. Torn between the roots of her upbringing and the promise of something more, her heart teetered uncertainly on the brink of new horizons. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weeks rolled on, Michael devised a plan, a benefit concert at the diner to support the family business and, he hoped, to spotlight Emily's gift. Excitement swirled around them, but as the concert date approached, the familiar specter of doubt crept into Emily's mind. Could she really step into that spotlight? What if she faltered? Standing backstage, the lively chatter of the crowd grew loud, and her heart felt heavy with fear. With a deep breath, she stood on the threshold of possibility, glancing at the crowd she'd once felt part of. A wave of resolve washed over her, even as chilling thoughts clawed at her heart. Could she balance the ambition she had long denied with the unwavering love for her family? The stage lights felt warm against her skin, illuminating her desperation, her dreams, and a billion-dollar heart waiting for her to take that leap. She stood, poised to either embrace her destiny or let it slip away, the shadows of doubt whispering behind her. Would she find the voice to sing her truth? The lights dimmed, and the buzz of the diner muted into a soft hum, enveloping Emily like a comforting blanket. She could hear the piano keys of the small upright piano in the corner, a faint echo dripping with nostalgia. It was a sound she'd grown up with, her mother playing those same keys. It suddenly felt like home, the kind of home that seemed forever just out of reach. As she gazed across the room, familiar faces gathered in anticipation. Old Mr. Thompson, the retired teacher, Lisa, the struggling single mom, even young Billy, who once won the school talent show, now sat among strangers and friends alike. They were there to support her. Yet with every heartbeat, her hope flickered in tandem with fear. Would they still be cheering for her in a moment? Then she spotted Michael. He sat in his usual corner, testing his wine glass absent-mindedly, his presence radiating calm in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Their eyes met, and suddenly, doubt began to thaw as a flicker of encouragement sparked between them. She could see belief written on his face, a faith that broke through the noise, filling her with a subtle glow that nudged her toward the stage. "All right, folks," someone called out, snapping her back to the moment. "We're here for a good cause, and we've got a special performer tonight." The crowd cheered, clapping hands and stomping feet. The energy rumbled like thunder in the small space, and Emily felt her insides swirl. Just breath, she told herself. One step at a time, gently, she walked toward the mic, every footfall echoing like a drumbeat against her chest. And as she reached for the microphone, she took a moment to inhale cordially, letting the crowd's enthusiasm wrap around her like a warm embrace. She glanced back at Michael, who nodded just barely, the tiniest gesture, but enough to ground her. With her heart racing, she opened her mouth. The first note shimmered out, cutting through the chatter like a diamond sparkling in the sun. It wrapped around each listener, captivating them, pulling them into her world. The familiar anxieties faded as she poured out every ounce of emotion into the lyrics, channeling her past, her desires, and that hidden dream she had tucked away. But then came the moment of truth, a sharp crack in her composure. One of the regulars in the crowd whispered to a friend, the words dripping with disdain. "She thinks she is some big star now." The knot in her stomach twisted painfully, nearly breaking her flow. A flash of doubt raged like a wildfire, threatening to consume her dedication, but she pressed on, squeezing her eyes shut, forging past the murmurings. She remembered the laughter, the late nights spent dreaming beneath starlit skies, and her mother's smile when she sung lullabies. Those memories wrapped around her, giving her strength. Each note became a declaration, a testament to resilience. As she reached the final chorus, her voice rang stronger, soaring above the faint criticisms and fears. The crowd exploded into applause, a wave of energy washing back to her like a tide. When she finished, breathless and shaken, she found herself scanning their faces. Relief and joy mingled in her chest, yet doubt, seated and still in the back of her mind, tugged at her. Had they embraced her for who she truly was, or was she still just a diner girl hoping to sing for acceptance? Michael stood up amidst the crowd, clapping fiercely, his expression lit with admiration. The realization hit Emily like a light bulb: the concert had been a bridge, connecting them across their different worlds. But just as the room swelled with warmth and newfound friendships, an unexpected figure emerged from the crowd, a shadow she had long tried to push aside. Her father. Standing there, distant and unreadable, eyebrows furrowed. The very man who had once crushed her dreams with laughter now looked primed to ignite an entirely different storm. As their eyes locked, this possible reunion felt like a spark on dry ground. What would he say? Would her past unravel the very thread she had just stitched together? The world faded behind them as both hope and trepidation tightrope walked her heart. And as the applause faded, Emily stood rooted to the stage, captivated and terrified all over again. Emily's breath caught in her throat as her father took a cautious step forward. The crowd's applause blurred into a distant hum, swallowed by the rising tide of emotions crashing inside her. This was the man who had once silenced her dreams with a bitter laugh, and now he stood watching, waiting. She searched his face for any hints of pride or regret, but his stern expression offered no insight. "Dad?" The word slipped from her lips, almost a whisper, a snare of shock threading her voice. Flashes of childhood memories played like a warped film reel in her mind, him shaking his head at her ambitions, the disapproving glances as she sang just to escape. Suddenly, that painful distance between them felt like a chasm. He cleared his throat, finally taking the stage in measured strides. "Emily," he began, the name lingering in the air. "I never thought," he hesitated, an uncharacteristic vulnerability softening his features. The room fell silent, and she could feel the weight of their audience's curiosity. They were transfixed, eyes darting between the two of them, holding their breath as if they could sense the fragile thread of reconciliation hanging in the balance. "You've changed," he finally said, his voice thick with emotion. The old man she remembered seemed to dissolve, replaced by someone grappling with the past. Emily's heart raced. Did he mean it? Did he truly see her as transformed? Was she more than the young girl who once sought his approval and was met with disdain? Tears pricked her eyes, and she swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. Her world had shifted with every note she had sung. Now, here he was, standing before the person she had become, feeling an invisible pull. She took a step toward him. I need you to know that music is important to me. It always has been. I've fought for this for my dreams. Her voice trembled, but she sensed the strength building beneath her words. It was a defiance against the doubts that had long chained her. He nodded slightly, his eyes softening. I was wrong to laugh at your dreams, Em. You deserve. He hesitated again, and the old ghosts of their relationship loomed uninvited between them. But then, a ripple of applause erupted from the audience. It broke the tension like a wave crashing against rock, and Emily felt a fluttering hope. She looked around, seeing warm smiles, nods of encouragement, and even pride on unfamiliar faces. Perhaps, despite the past, she could forge a new path. Let us take it step by step, she urged, her heart pounding with daring honesty. Can we start over? That question hung in the air, thick and electrifying. The crowd shifted, sensing the weight of this moment, and Emily held her breath, waiting for the words that could either shatter the fleeting hope or breathe life into it. Her father stared at her, and the flicker of uncertainty grazed his features. He took a breath. Maybe we can. I've missed so much, Emily. The rawness of the moment wrapped them tightly, a thin line of connection bridging the years of silence. But just as the silence began to stretch into something tangible, a sudden commotion erupted from the far side of the diner. A man slammed down a guitar case, yelling for everyone's attention. Hey! Can I get a real performance going here? Emily's heart sank as the moment hung suspended, replaced by chaos. She turned back to her father, desperate to seal their connection before it slipped away entirely. Would this be a path toward healing or yet another missed opportunity? As she searched his eyes, the weight of her dreams past and future settled heavily in her chest, pushing her to make a choice, and just as she opened her mouth to speak, the world around her faded again, all focus drawing back to the stage. Each heartbeat echoed the tension as she faced the unexpected twists ahead, ready for whatever came next. What would she choose to believe, and who would she become in the answering silence? The commotion was overwhelming. The man at the far end of the diner had everyone's attention, his boisterous confidence clashing sharply with the fragile moment Emily had just shared with her father. He lifted the guitar from its case, the polished wood catching the overhead lights, and began strumming a catchy, infectious melody. It was a tune everyone knew, a crowd-pleaser designed to shake off the somber vibe that had settled in the diner. Emily felt her father's gaze shift towards the newcomer, the look of lost connection returning to his face. It felt like a door that had almost cracked open was now swinging back closed, taking with it the fleeting hope of reconciliation. Frustration flickered in her chest, battling against the emotional weight that still hung in the air. Just a moment, she called out, her voice cutting through the din. The crowd turned, some surprised, others curious. Her father watched with a mix of surprise and apprehension, as if anticipating the impending storm of emotions. Please, just give me a second. She stepped up to the microphone, her heart thudding wildly. This was her moment to reclaim it, to let the music speak when the words stumbled. The guitarist raised an eyebrow but paused, curious. Emily could see the crowd shifting, anticipation swirling through the air. They were eager for a show, a performance that might divert the current chaos. She took a deep breath, letting it fill her lungs, grounding her as she faced the glaring lights. The moment stretched into a hush. She glanced back at her father, who was now focused on her, his expression unreadable. Would he choose to listen, or would he let the noise drown her out once again? Here goes nothing, she whispered under her breath. She let the first notes spill forth. The melody, a blend of heartbreak and triumph, poured from her soul, and she sang with everything inside her. It was a story woven with pain and hope, each note a reflection of her journey. As her voice rose, she could see the faces in the room shifting. Skepticism faded, and in its place blossomed admiration. The guitarist instinctively joined in, complementing her voice with harmonies that filled the diner, amplifying her emotions. The crowd began to sway, caught in the spell of an unexpected duet that thrust Emily into a space beyond her father's past expectations, and there was a bond forming through shared music, even if only for a fleeting moment. She poured every ounce of love for her art, every bit of longing for connection into those notes. She poured out the years of dreaming and fighting, all the heartache and every moment of joy she had ever felt when she took a stage. As the final notes hung in the air, Emily was breathless. The crowd erupted in applause, a tidal wave of appreciation washing over her. She turned, eyes darting to her father, hoping to see his reaction, a smile, a nod, anything to show that he too had felt the moment, but she found something different. Her father's eyes were glistening, and when their gazes locked, for the first time, she saw a glimmer of understanding. Then the unexpected happened. The crowd cheered wildly, calling for more, but it wasn't the guitarist they wanted. They were fixated on her, demanding a continuation of her story. Emily's heart raced. Could she do it again? Could she keep building this bridge to the past, or would she falter under the weight of their expectations? She took a deep breath and stepped forward, feeling the path beneath her becoming clearer. Would this performance be just the beginning of breaking down walls, or would she unintentionally create new ones? Emily's heart raced as she stood at the microphone, the energy of the diner electrifying. The applause mingled with her nervous thoughts. Faces glowed with hope and eagerness, and for a moment, she felt like a beacon drawing everyone in, including her father. She wanted to keep the momentum alive, but what could she sing next? She glanced at the guitarist beside her. There was an unspoken understanding between them. He tilted his head, silently urging her to take charge. A memory flickered to life, the first time she had ever stood on stage, shaking with fear but fueled by passion. She chose that moment to lose herself in the music. Deep down, she knew she had to sing a piece of herself to keep this connection with her father. She cleared her throat, focused, and let her heart guide her. She started strumming her favorite song, a heartfelt ballad about redemption and dreaming big. Each lyric felt alive as she poured her feelings into the words, hoping her father would hear the truth in her voice. The crowd swayed softly with her, eyes closing in blissful recognition. As she sang, Emily dared to steal a glance out at the crowd. People seemed slightly misty-eyed, lost in their own worlds of nostalgia. The warmth of their love wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Yet her heart ached for one specific listener, her father. Was he feeling the song? Was he finally seeing her? The intensity of the moment wrapped around her. She entered the song deeper than ever before. She remembered childhood nights spent singing into a hairbrush, dreaming of moments like this. Would he finally understand? As the melody climbed towards its peak, Emily's voice soared, filled with hope. She was not just performing, she was reaching for something bigger, a connection, a bridge to the father she had longed for and the man she saw before her now. The notes lingered in the diner, every syllable promising an unspoken truth. Emily finished the song to an eruption of cheers. It resonated in ways she hadn't anticipated. Her heart soared knowing she had sparked something good, something real within the room. When she turned back to her father, she hoped to see his walls crumbling, perhaps revealing the man she always wanted him to be. But instead, his expression was more complicated, somewhere between pride and fear. Emily, he whispered, his voice almost lost amid the applause. Suddenly, everything felt fragile. She could feel the weight of unspoken words, of years lost, hanging in the air between them. Had she just made a connection, or had she stirred up old wounds? The guitarist stepped back, nodding at her to keep going, but fear gripped her like a vice. She didn't want to push too hard. What if she did break down barriers, only to find out he was still not ready to walk across? "Are you okay, Dad?" she ventured, her voice trembling just above a whisper. He stared at her, a battle of emotions playing out in his eyes. For a moment, they were suspended in a place that felt both terrifying and hopeful. Would he say what needed to be said, or would the moment slip away, remaining forever unspoken? Emily held her breath, teetering on the edge of possibility. The realization hit her sometimes, singing wasn't just about the music, it was about daring to face the truth. Would her father finally open up? Or would the silence once again fill the space between them, leaving her wondering what could have been? The diner's applause reverberated in Emily's ears, but it was her father's silence that struck her hardest. She felt like she was floating, suspended between hope and dread. His gaze was penetrating, yet distant, as if he was looking at something far beyond her. "Emily," he began, but the word hung in the air like a storm cloud. She felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with fear. This could be the moment she'd been waiting for, the moment that unlocked everything, but then he glanced away, turning his gaze towards the bright lights of the diner's neon sign flickering outside. Was he searching for a distraction? She felt deflated, like her song had slipped away without ever landing. "Dad, please," her voice broke, desperate. She had bared her soul. Wasn't he it enough to earn a response? The guitarist played a gentle riff, almost as if urging a continuation of this fragile moment. But Emily's heart pounded, each thump reminding her of her deep-seated fears. What if he wasn't ready? What if he never would be? Changed by the vulnerability of the song she had just sung, Emily took a step closer to her father, crossing the invisible boundary she often felt between them. "I need you to say something. Anything." He finally turned his head, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "You were amazing, EMS," he whispered, his voice barely above the whisper of the crowd. The pride in his words felt like a warm touch, yet it was mixed with a hesitation that sliced through her hope. "Do you really mean that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Something about how he said it seemed too guarded, too polite. "What I mean is," his words faltered. He looked like a man standing at the edge of a ledge, afraid to leap. "You've grown into something beautiful. What about us?" She pressed, wanting to reach him, wanting him to understand that she wasn't just searching for compliments. She'd been searching for him. He swallowed hard, eyes darting back to the crowd. "Emily, sometimes there are things that what?" She interrupted, her urgency breaking through. "Things that can't be said. Things we pretend aren't there." Her heart thudded painfully, fueled by unmet questions. She couldn't allow this moment to dissolve into nothing. His gaze finally returned to hers, and for just a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a flicker of something deeper, recognition, maybe. "I don't want to hurt you," he said quietly, eyes searching hers as if hoping to find clarity. The crowd continued to buzz around them, but it felt like they were in a bubble. The chatter and laughter faded into a distant hum, and the air between father and daughter buzzed with tension. "Then don't hurt me. Be real with me," she whispered, her fists clenched at her sides. "This is a chance, Dad. Just let me in." He sighed, looking as if the weight of the world drifted upon his shoulders. "I've made so many mistakes. And we can't fix them if you don't let me try," she insisted, her heart racing. The ache of yearning flooded through her, rising in her throat. Just as she thought she'd gotten through to him, an unexpected interruption boomed through the diner. The owner, an overly enthusiastic man in a checkered shirt, stepped forward. "All right. Who's ready for another round of karaoke?" Emily's heart sank, the moment shattered. She turned back to her father, searching for any hint of resolution, any sign that they could push past this barrier. But he wore a mask of ambivalence, the same confusion tightening his features. "Emily," he began again, but she couldn't wait. She needed answers, not just more questions. "Maybe I need to sing again." She nodded, determination surging inside her. "Maybe this time I'll be clearer." The guitarist stepped forward, a knowing nod exchanged between them. She had to break through, had to let the music continue to resonate between them. "Wait," her father said, but she was already in motion, her feet guiding her back to the microphone. Could the next song finally bridge the gap between them? Or would it simply become another fleeting hope lost in the noise? Emily gripped the microphone tight, her fingers trembling with a mixture of nervous energy and resolve. She could feel every eye on her, the crowd pulsing with anticipation. The guitarist strummed the opening chords of a song that felt almost like a prayer, the kind of song that could speak to hidden places inside people, the places she desperately wanted her father to reach. As her voice filled the diner, Emily poured everything she had into the lyrics. It wasn't just about singing, it was her way of tearing down the walls that had been built between them over the years. She sung about longing, about love lost and dreams abandoned, about wanting a chance to rewrite a story that had gone awry. Each note felt like a step towards her father, like she was extending an olive branch wrapped in melody. People were swaying in their seats, some had closed their eyes, letting the music wash over them. Yet amidst the warm haze of the diner, Emily's eyes remained fixed on her father. She wanted to see his expression shift, wanted to know if her words were breaking through. Slowly, his face unfolded. The tension around his mouth softened as he listened, his initial ambivalence transforming into a rapt focus. She could see the beginnings of understanding dawning in his eyes. The melody carried her voice higher and higher, and with each chorus, she felt the distance shrinking between them, as if the universe had aligned just for this moment. As she reached the final verse, her heart soared. The diner seemed to blur, just a backdrop to the spell she had cast with her voice. She let go of her fears, pouring out every unspoken feeling, every hurt and longing, hoping he could finally see her not just as a daughter seeking approval, but as a woman fighting to connect despite the fractures of their past. The song ended, fading into silence, and she stood breathless, staring at her father. The applause echoed around them, but it felt hauntingly distant. She could sense the crowd's approval, but all she wanted was to read the emotion playing out on his face. For a long moment, he didn't say anything. His gaze locked onto hers, as if he was searching for something he couldn't quite name. Finally, he smiled, just a small, tentative smile, but it felt monumental. "EMS," he said, breaking the silence with a shaky voice, "that was beautiful. I didn't know you felt that way." His face crumpled slightly, and suddenly the emotional dam he'd built began to breach. She could see the struggling tide of regret and sorrow rising in him. "I wish I could take back the things I said, things I did. I just don't," she interrupted gently, tears brimming in her eyes. "We can't change the past, but we can try to shape the future. Please, can we talk about this? Let's not let it end here." Before her father could respond, the owner of the diner made his way over, eyes sparkling with mischief. "All right now, folks. Put your hands together for the duet we've all been waiting for. Let's keep this party rolling." Emily felt her heart pound. A duet? She cast a quick glance at her father. Could he? Would he? "Dad, let's do this together," she urged, her pulse racing with hope. "We can find our harmony." He hesitated, eyes wide with surprise, but something shifted in his expression as the crowd began to cheer. Taking a deep breath, he joined her at the microphone. "Okay," he finally said, a hint of determination glinting in his eyes. "Let's try." As they stood side by side, the moment hung in the air, charged with potential and the promise of healing. Would they be able to sing their way back into each other's hearts, or would this moment slip away like so many before it? With a deep breath, Emily found a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they really could find their way back to one another. Emily's heart raced as the crowd's cheers filled her ears, a dizzying blend of excitement and fear. There was a certain magic in the air, an unspoken connection pulsating between her and her father. They exchanged a glance, and in that moment, the unyielding years of silence felt like a barrier just waiting to shatter. As they stood together at the microphone, the guitarist began a familiar melody, one that Emily had always loved. It was a classic tune filled with warmth and nostalgia, the kind of song that wrapped around you like a cozy blanket on a cold night. She felt it buzz in her veins, the rhythm igniting the old memories of laughter and late-night conversations with her father. "Let's give it a shot," Emily whispered. Her voice trembled slightly, but she squeezed his hand for reassurance. He nodded, a mix of uncertainty and something deeper sparking in his eyes. As they sang the first verse, their voices blended in a way Emily couldn't have imagined. There was a beautiful harmony, not just between their tones but between their souls, as if they were finally finding the missing pieces of each other. Her voice soared, vibrant and free, while his deep, rich timbre grounded her, forming an anchor. She could see the crowd swaying, lost in the moment, but her focus remained on her father. The way his eyes shimmered with something that resembled hope felt like a revelation. For so long, they had been standing on opposite shores, the ocean of their past dividing them. Now, here they were, standing at the water's edge, the waves lapping at their feet. With the chorus, she felt a rush of courage swell within her. "Dad, we can do this. Together," she urged, her eyes pleading for him to embrace what they were creating. He glanced at her, his face softening as they moved into the second verse. The years of hurt hadn't vanished, but in this moment, they were turning into something new, something powerful. She watched him take a deep breath, and just like that, he pushed through the vulnerability. "You know," he sang softly, his voice cracking a little, "I never meant for things to end up this way." Emily's chest tightened. It wasn't just a lyric, it was a confession. Their past had been entangled in unwritten words and missed opportunities, but perhaps they were carving a new path that night. As they reached the bridge, Emily felt her emotions swell. She poured her heart into the final repetitions, singing not just about regret but about hope, about the potential of their future. The final notes hung in the air like a fragile bubble. Would it burst, or would it float toward something greater? When they finished, silence hung briefly, followed by an eruption of applause. The diners rose to their feet, clapping and cheering, but it all felt muted compared to the electric connection sparked between her and her father. He turned to her, his expression a mixture of pride and vulnerability. But just as he began to speak, a commotion erupted at the back of the diner. Emily's heart sank as she recognized the figure pushing through the crowd, her mother. The woman who had always kept her distance, who had always made it difficult for them to bridge the gaps in their relationship. What would this mean? Would her mother step into their moment of healing, or would she become an obstacle, shattering what Emily had dared to hope for? As the din grew louder, Emily felt her father's hand slip into hers. "We'll figure this out together," he whispered, his voice steady. And with that, Emily stood on the precipice of change, uncertain of the next step but ready to face it. How would this reunion unfold? Would her mother be the key to unlocking deeper wounds, or the weight that kept them anchored in the past? The noise grew louder, swallowing the warmth of their shared moment. Emily's gaze darted to the back of the diner, her thoughts racing. What was her mom doing here? Was she ready to confront the ghosts of their family's past, or was she about to slip back into the shadows? Her heart thudded painfully in her chest, each beat echoing the anxious questions swirling in her head. She could see her mother weaving through tables, her expression set and unreadable. A wave of memories crashed over Emily, the tense family dinners, her mother's icy demeanor, the long silences that stretched out like chasms. Her father said, breaking her reverie. His eyes studied hers with concern. "Are you okay?" Emily nodded slowly, though doubt clawed at her insides. They had just tasted the sweetness of reconciliation, and now that sweetness seemed ready to sour. With every step her mother took, the crowd's energy shifted. Whispers bubbled up, intertwined with the laughter and cheers from before. Emily's eyes flickered back to her father, who held her gaze steady, an anchor against the tide of uncertainty crashing against her. Her mother finally reached the front, the tension palpable. "Emily," she said, her voice hoarse but firm. "I need to talk to you, both of you." The crowd quieted, curiosity rippling through the room, making the moment feel heavy with expectation. Emily's breath hitched as she and her father exchanged a glance, the warmth they had just shared still humming between them but now tempered by doubt. "Now," Emily said, her voice shaky. "Is now really the time?" "Please," her mother insisted, the weariness in her eyes revealing more than her words. "I don't want to ruin this." "But you always do," Emily couldn't help but blurt out, frustration spilling over. She immediately regretted her tone but couldn't control the flood of feelings. Years of hurt echoed in the single accusation. Don't, her father squeezed her hand, a pleading reminder of their fragile revival. I know I haven't been there, her mother continued, swallowing hard. But this is important. What you just did, it was beautiful. I want to be part of this family again. The raw honesty in her voice contrasted with the memories that flickered through Emily's mind. Was this a plea for forgiveness, or a desperate attempt to reclaim a shattered past? Why now? Emily asked, her voice low, a tremor betraying the wall she was desperately trying to maintain. Because I can't stand by any longer, her mother replied, the soft urgency in her tone softening the edges of Emily's tension. I see you both trying to heal, and I realize I've kept myself away for too long. The room was silent, the crowd's breath caught in the shared moment. Emily felt her heart racing again, a blend of hope and apprehension swirling within her. Could this really be a chance to mend the frayed threads of their family? Mom, she started, her voice barely above a whisper. What do you want from us? I want to be honest. I want to try to make up for lost years. I want you both. Emily's throat felt tight, her emotions tangling into a confusing mess of allure and fear. She glanced back at her father, who was studying his ex-wife with an expression of cautious hope. Can we do this? He asked softly, and it hung there, that question, would they plunge into the unknown together, trusting one another, or would their past once again cast shadows on any chance of healing? Emily caught her breath, searching for courage amidst the uncertainty. There was so much at stake, too much for her to ignore, but little did she know, the night was just beginning and the revelations it would bring would change everything. Emily stood there, her heart pounding, faced with the enormity of what lay ahead. The warmth from the crowd dimmed, but the heat from her mother's revelation ignited a fire inside her. Could this truly be the moment they pulled together, stitching them into a family once again? Mom, she whispered, stepping closer. If you want this, really want this, then let us talk. Her mother's face softened, the weight of years of distance seemingly lifting with those words. I know I've hurt both of you. I lost my way, but I can see now how both of you are trying, and I can no longer just watch from the sidelines. The crowd watched, intrigued and emotional, like spectators witnessing a long-awaited reunion. Emily felt the stirring energy, yet doubt whispered in her mind. Could they really move past the hurt of their shared history? Would this just be another moment that shattered as quickly as it began? Her father looked at Emily, a silent understanding passing between them. He took a breath, the shame of their past hanging over him. Emily, I don't know how to mend what has been broken, he said gently. But I want to try with you and with your mother. As her father spoke, Emily's heart raced. Their words resonated, filled with vulnerability and longing. Could they truly build something new from the wreckage? Emily took one more step forward, courage rising. Then let us do it together, she said, drawing her mother into the circle of their bond. It starts now. If we are going to be a family, we need to prioritize the truth. She felt her voice tremble, but determination sparkled in her eyes. Let us share what we've kept buried. The trio stood together, a fragile yet undeniable connection weaving through them. Could the truth really serve as a means of healing? Her mother nodded, tears glistening. I was afraid, Emily. Afraid of being part of a family I had let slip away. But after seeing you up there singing, I realized how foolish I was to hide. Your gifts had always inspired me, I just didn't know how to express it when we were all together. The crowd erupted in a wave of applause, but it didn't matter. This was just for them. Emily's eyes darted to her father, who nodded in agreement. We're here now, and we can start changing things step by step, he said, his voice steady and strong. Let us not let the fear of the past dictate our future. Together. With that, the atmosphere shifted, filled with a hope so rich it almost felt like a song of its own. Emily turned to the audience, the familiar faces of the diner, their community welcoming this moment. This crowd of people who had watched her grow, who had lifted her during her darkest days. This was her family too. "Thank you all for believing in me," Emily said, her voice carrying warmth. "What you witnessed tonight wasn't just about music, it was about healing. It was about love." The diner exploded once more in applause, but this time it resonated differently. This time it was a call to arms, a reminder of community and connection. Encouragement wasn't just for her future, but for all of them. It welcomed forth dreams and reconciliations, possibilities and pathways. "Now, I want to invite a special guest for a duet," Emily said, her heart racing with anticipation. She reached for her mom's hand, pulling her gently forward. "Mom, come join me." Gasps filled the diner, everyone leaned closer, eager for what was about to unfold. It wasn't just a mother's voice that Emily wanted to bring forth, it was a family bond that had been dormant for years. As they took their places at the mic, Emily felt a wave of confidence wash over her. They could do this. With a nod from her father, they began to sing a song of hope and reconciliation, each note weaving through the air like a promise. The crowd swayed, caught up in the journey they were all taking together. The past began to fade, emerging only to highlight the beauty of their shared future. As they harmonized, the barriers broke down, a melody merging hearts and mending scars. Tears flowed freely, laughter punctuating the notes, and as Emily locked eyes with her mother, she saw the glimmer of a chance they often dreamed of, now realized before them. Together they finished the song, and the diner erupted, cheers soaring high, the cacophony echoing outside into the cool night air, a blessing of unity and understanding. Emily, her heart full and radiant, felt a whisper of a dream once forgotten wafting back into focus. No longer would she allow fear to hush her voice. Holding her family tight, she smiled, confident about the future ahead, and at that moment, she grasped the significance of everything that had unfolded. Each struggle served as a reminder that healing isn't merely a destination, but a journey taken by the strong. No longer tethered by the weight of the past, they stepped into the unknown together. Now, as the energy settled, Emily's heart thrummed with the thrill of everything that lay before them. The road might not always be easy, but together, they would find their way. You need to be part of this journey too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support, it really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. You don't want to miss connecting with other supporters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support matters more than you know.